I won the Great War against the Immortals and brought peace to the continent for the next hundreds of years, creating the perfect moment for my isolated training. However, my disciples cried when they learned I would disappear for so long. Even so, I stood firm and told them to expand their names while I was away. After hundreds of years, I returned and sliced a mountain in half with a single hand movement. No one recognized me anymore and even tried to attack me, but they didn't stand a chance. With that, I went to meet Luan Yenner, my main disciple. But something was different. The little Yenner from the past had grown in a disproportionate way and was looking at me in a peculiar manner. She had already mastered the techniques I taught her, but now she wanted to defeat me in combat on top of mattresses. Afraid that I might try to escape, she attacked my leg without mercy, but nothing happened to my immortal body. With a simple palm movement, I demonstrated my superiority, but the result was not exactly what I expected. I was saved only because an informant warned that certain manuscripts were being stolen, and I decided to go solve it myself. I am proud of how much Yenner has grown, but her behavior now is very different. I went to the city to speak with a secret group of informants who still use the same codes to this day, according to this paper bird. The informant, however, is a ramen eater whose calories go only to one specific place. I speak the secret code to get the information I want, but that damn informant thinks I'm trying to fool her. She slams the table, calls me an idiot, and tells me to get out. But I know she's just pretending, so I touch her shoulder and say, "I already said the code. Stop pretending." Strangely, she has a peculiar reaction. The informant asks herself, "Why is my body burning like thick honey on the inside?" One touch from him was enough to almost extract my elixir from years of loneliness. I'm sure this man is destined to be my cultivation duo. Poor protagonist has no idea he just walked into trouble. Suddenly she grabs my hand and says she has been waiting for me for a long time, but for some reason I feel this girl has ulterior motives. At least she takes me to an arena where some martial artists are competing for a certain book and says, "If you can get the book, I agree to do." Before she can finish, I'm already walking toward the arena because time is money. One of the elders tries to attack me, shouting that I will never walk away with that treasure. The explosion sweeps the area, but when the smoke clears, I am intact. Others get irritated and try to attack me, but the poor guys stand no chance. In a quick movement, I appear behind the old man and flick his forehead. He never had a chance. Strangely, the old man starts going insane. His energy expands and strange particles begin to fall from the heavens. Any touch causes a devastating explosion, and everyone flees in despair. But to me, this is as harmless as snow. I was about to cleanse the skies of this evil tribulation, but my dear informant wanted to protect me with her ramen-powered spheres. Physically speaking, it's quite a large and comfortable barrier, to be honest. Chow Chow must have had a difficult past, and even so, she decided to sacrifice herself for me, pulling a talisman from the depths of the mountains of heat. But it's all right, Chow Chow, today, I will be the one to save you. The tribulation's attack hits us directly, and that damned possessed man laughs in our faces, until he takes a rock to the head. You're strong, old man, but destroying lives just for a celestial book shows you are worth nothing, I tell him. He tries to pull a Sasuke Uchiha with 30 hand signs, but loses to the good old jab and straight combo. With that, I recover the book that always belonged to me and use a technique to deceive death and pain, returning to life everyone who had been affected in that place. Unfortunately, poor Chow Chow had fainted. I had to help her stand, which was an arduous task. But as an honest man, I did my duty. The other old man, seeing the hero leave, calls out, thinking he'd never guess a young dude like that would snag the book. Right then, one of the servants calls the man. The guy says he's got a deal with the Empress crew, wondering why he's here now. But the servant whispers something in his ear. The man approaches the hero, whispering a code to him, saying he's got the wrong guy. But the dude says hell keep quiet and respected his name forever, saying his name's Zixing, son of Kongshen's shocked, when the man says his dad's name. And right then, Yentan wakes up sometime later in a mansion. The old dude asks the little girl about the injured person, but she says the docs tried everything yet. The person's still snoozing. Then the old man mentions he heard the woman was the sidekick of the celestial book's owner. And the girl's like, yep. She got hurt protecting him, asking him to check her out. But Yentan was already Mia. Hiding, the girl thought if she played possum they'd care for her. But he just turned and bounced, wondering if he was scheming behind her back. As Yenten walked, she spotted one of her talismans, saying no matter how fast he ran with her talisman, the boy was toast. Checking the door, the girl tries to eavesdrop, wondering why it was so quiet. Then to fix her problem, she pokes a hole in the door to peep through. But she's shocked by what she saw. Shin was just feeling the old man's chest. The protagonist, seeing the mark on the man's chest, thinks he really was Kong's kid. Zixing says it was a mark of his dad's teachings and a family symbol, asking if Shin believed him now. Then Shin says he remembers when his dad went to war with him and in a flash had grown a lot, asking what the deal was. Zixing says he was scared of something unknown 40 years ago when his dad was almost kicking the bucket. He called him to pass on the city lord gig. And besides him and his dad, there was one more person in the room. A mystery figure asks Zixing if he'd be the next city boss, saying he seemed to have a long life ahead. But Zixing says he was just a son stepping into his dad's shoes as lord. The person says he was super obedient and that's why Kong liked him so much. And besides guarding the celestial book, she wanted the man to pass on a message. That when the celestial book found its master, to tell him to bring the book to the foodie cave. Back to now, Zixing says he should keep this on the down low from Yenner. The protagonist feels awkward asking if that was who he thought it was. But Zixing confirms it was his third disciple Luoyen, saying she ruled the southern continent ages ago and is seen as a world boss. Shun is shook as his disciples were outdoing each other, thinking about the cave's name, wondering if that wasn't the mountain where he made potions with his third disciple. Then Zixing kneels before him. The protagonist asks what he's doing. Zixing says the city lord gig wasn't supposed to be his yet, as his dad wanted to personally meet the celestial book's owner. With tears, he says he shouldn't bug him with this stuff, but he needs his help. But Shin says his dad and he were tight, so he couldn't ignore it, asking where his dad was. The man says his dad's in a deep snooze in the Kunlun Mountains, asking the protagonist to find his disciple first. Yentan, seeing this, flips out, calling the protagonist a creep and totally misunderstanding, saying it was a lie that Zixing needed a secret chat and it was just an excuse to do stuff. Fuming, she says she waited forever for this chance. Asking if he was messing with the girl barging in, she chucks a pill at them. With the protagonist down, Yentan says no matter how strong he was, if he sniffed her pill they'd be out cold. With a sly grin, the girl says a top-tier guy like that should be hers, but she spots a glowing scroll beside her where she starts tripping. Apparently hyped, Yentan asks if something like that was in the celestial book. Seeing something shiny, she asks what color that was, wondering what was going on. Later the girl was in front of the protagonist, and then sits on top of Shin. Shin, still out of it, asks if that was the smell of the alcoholic elixir, noticing something slippery and soft. Opening his eyes, the protagonist is stunned, seeing the girl on top of him, asking what she was doing. Embarrassed, Shin tries to get up, telling Yentan to back off. The boy, recalling his memories before blacking out, remembers Yentan storming and saying random stuff and insisting nothing weird happened. Then Yentan, hugging the main dude, gets asked what she's up to. Then she plants a smooch on him and starts sniffing him like a puppy, leaving Shin super red-faced, begging her to chill. But nope, she grabs his hand, and then she starts licking his finger. Yep, you read that right. Shin's brain is like, is this really happening? He spots the celestial book wide open. Then he's all, yo, act normal. She starts acting like a dog, and Shin's thinking this is a total disaster, because Shin had stashed loads of treasures in the celestial book, and to keep it secret, put a spell that brainwashes anyone who peeks, turning them into dogs. So Shin's like, did she peek at the book? Mumbling that he can't just sit around doing nothing. He sighs. This is such a mess. Gives her a light slap to snap her out of it. Shin says Yentan's lucky he's the one who found her. The no-indulging rule grabs a dog's soul and mixes it with a human's. And if he tried a regular spell to break it, she'd just turn into a total airhead. So Shin pins Yenten down, pulls out the dog's soul saying she'll be back to normal soon. Then she faints and Shin's like, nailed it. Since she's been through a lot, he figures the celestial book should give her sweet dreams, saying that when Yenten wakes up, the curse will be totally gone. And since he helped her, she should keep it on the down low. Then Shin's like, I gotta hit up Fujian Cave. Plus he should bounce while they're snoozing to dodge any awkward convos. As he's leaving, Yenten grabs his shirt. Shin's like, you still awake looking at her? She's all, they'll totally have your back. And with tears, Yenten's like, I don't want to be alone. Sighing, Shin decides to stick around, saying he'll wait for her to wake up before he jets. But then Zixing wakes up first, all confused about how he dozed off and where Shin went. Later, one of Shin's disciples asks her servant why Shin's Mia. But the girl's like, when I got there, head already bounced. The other woman's like, no way, I'm the top disciple, he wouldn't leave without a heads up. But the girl says she heard about a woman who saved his life and ended up in a coma. The disciple's like, you're just saying that to dodge trouble. But the servant's like, Shun's hunting for medicine to save her and took her with him. The Empress grins thinking Shun's still into the damsel in distress type. Then she starts changing saying she'll personally bring Shin back. One of her servants is like, you can't do that. But she zips it when she sees the Empress glare, asking if she's trying to tell her what to do. Right then, the servant kneels begging for forgiveness. Thinking about the situation, she sighs, saying the Blood River Elder's gotten super strong and is recruiting in the north, so she can't leave. Then one of the Empress generals shows up ready for orders. The Empress tells her to fetch Shin and spread a message. Chun's like, don't stress, Kongyuan's just a place. Back to Shin, Yentan's awake, asking where she is. And Shin's like, why are you so annoying? To ditch her. He uses the celestial book's hide mode, but she still pops up. The girl's like, the smell's still here. And Shin wonders if she's still doggo mode. Pulling something from her chest, she's like, can't help it. And even though the talisman's precious, using it on Shun isn't a waste. 'Cause ITLL find him, then Shin's like, she's still not giving up and smashes the talisman. Then Yentan spots him. Shin's thinking she can't track him anymore. 'Cause no matter what he can't take her to Foodie Cave. But Yentan whispers asking if he hates her, saying sorry for causing chaos at the Tianshu conference. But her urge to save him, even risking her life, was real. Shin watches her talk, feeling hesitant to say anything, mentioning her time's running out. But she had this one big wish before kicking the bucket, saying she'd tried a zillion times and was now sure Shin was the only one who could help her out, telling him he could laugh all he wanted because she'd work for free. But before he agreed to help, she begged the dude not to give up because she wanted him to treat her like a loyal pup and was down to do anything to make it happen. Then Shin lets out a big sigh and turns off his invisibility, making Yenten super happy because boom, he was really there thanking him, promising no more drama, asking if he was into dogs and saying no need for the celestial book. He could just pretend, but the boy stays silent since he turned off the book. Yenten thinks that's cool because he's ready to help. Right then the girl gets stabbed in the chest as she hits the ground. Yentan's clueless about what just went down, wondering why it happened like that. But Shin's just as confused about what went down. She was chatting and then bam, she fainted. But then, the protagonist spots something looking around. Shin figures there's something fishy going on. At that moment, the Empress pops up in front of the boy. Shin asks if that was Yonner and the girl's all, why didn't you keep your promise, are you backing out? The boy hesitates, saying it's not like that. Then the Empress is like, you could have at least sent a text, wasn't it worth a thought? But the protagonist's like, nah, not worth it, and launches an attack on the Empress. Seeing the girl, Shin's like, she's not Yonner. Then poof, the Empress turns into a soul. The boys like saw that coming. Just a delay, explaining that delayers are spirits, munching on cultivators' emotions, using illusions to mess with their heads, keeping the illusion going till their target's totally drained. Shin guesses Yentan fainted because of that. But nighttime's prime time for spirits to mess with illusions. So why show up during the day? Checking out the girl, the protagonist sees spirits trying to take over her. But Shin throws up a hand sign, and the spirits just vanish. But something's off because she's still out cold, making him wonder if she's too far gone. Then in Yentan's past, the girl's singing, asking if her sis wanted a crystal falcon. But when she turns around, it's just a pile of bodies. Yentan's like, no point, she's always been solo, thinking everyone's out to get her, dodging hunters over and over, wondering how long she can keep it up. Then a woman calls her, calling her disciple. Yenten wonders if she left anyone alive, questioning what she's on about. Standing up, the woman tells her to chill. She'll explain, saying she's the big-shot diviner of the Xuanji sect. And ages ago, they sent her a message to go west and find her destined disciple. Sarcastically, the girl's like, can I call you master, and are you down to give anything? She wanted her life, stabbing the woman, saying she's met loads of people like that, wanting to use the disciple gig to drag her to an elixir shop. Once the cultivators found out they could refine through her, all rules went out the window. Back to now, Yentan's like, why can't they just leave her be? But then she starts feeling weak. Her cultivation's tapped out, wondering if this is the end. Yentan's got no fam or friends, so her life's just gonna end. Saying she's taken out loads of baddies because she had no choice, begging the heavens for a normal life. But then a voice behind her's like, why wait for the next life? Looking over, Yentan sees the woman still kicking, saying, she can do it now. And all the master's gotta do is transfer her energy to save Yentan. Then the girl starts bawling, asking if she can really keep living. The woman's like, yup, and not just that, she can have a good life from now on. But later, her master's gone. Yentan's like, don't sweat it, it's her turn to save her. All she needs is to find someone with a sacred body and do some dual cultivation. Back to now, Shun's like, the spirit's eating her up, she can't hold on much longer, saying he's gotta handle it fast. Then a bunch of Empress clones show up, hugging the protagonist and inviting him to have fun, asking if he wanted her front or back. But right then, Shun whips out some magic to chill the spirits. Still one spirit hangs around, saying the boy's super strong, asking if Shun was into that game, saying Yenner was catching feelings for him. Then the spirit steps on the main dude, saying girls like to be the boss, so he should just chill there like a good boy. But suddenly the girl feels her tummy burning, asking what the boy's up to, holding her foot. Shun's all, you don't know about the pleasure point, an acupuncture spot that gives a super awesome experience. The Empress gets all flustered, telling him to let her go. Then the main dude starts charging up an attack, saying to fight her. He needs to ditch his human cravings and focus on his goals, and giving even more pleasure. She shows her true form. If Shun let her bounce, who knows how many peeps would get hurt. Freaking out, the spirit says she's really Yenner, asking how he could be so mean to make her suffer. But the boy's like, Yenner's name shouldn't even come out of her mouth. She was left behind after taking the refining penalty to save the sect, getting rid of the poison from her bones for a whole month without crying once. And instead she felt bad for her younger sisters hiding in the dark, blaming herself for not living up to their hopes, asking how Yenner could charm others for her own wants, for she was just something driven by lust, stealing others' memories and mocking them, asking if that made her feel all high and mighty. Then he smacks the spirit, where her true form was revealed. Seeing Yentan on the ground, the spirit thinks that girl was still lost in her dream, so she could take over her body and start fresh. But right then she gets sliced in half. But it wasn't the main dude who did that. Checking where the spirit was, there was a sword there. Then a mystery figure shows up. That was the girl the Empress had sent before. A legend says an immortal kick to the west of the Kongyuan continent made a secret move where two cultivators swallowed a mystery stone to sacrifice their spiritual babies to the outside world. With the blood formation's blessing, the two could chat freely with each other and share their cultivation levels and stories. The person who made this move called it psychic interlude. Then the woman says he still remembered. Yanershin mentions her spiritual baby was a rare red thing seen only once every 10,000 years. Then the woman asks why Shin was backing off. Because he was having a blast with the spirit and so forgot to head back to the city. The main dude gets all shy, asking if she saw that whole scene. But the girl says she saw everything from start to finish. And on top of that, Yaner already knew it all, asking if the main dude was finding meds for Yantan and so wasn't heading back to the city, leaving Shin all puzzled, not knowing what she was on about. Then the boy spills everything to the woman, thinking that girl came to find him to drop a message from Yaner about not checking out other girls. The girl says even if Yaner got it twisted, why would Yantan keep following him all that way? But Shin mentions she had a secret reason, as she needed his help. Thinking about the main dude's words, the girl thinks he didn't see her as a girl. Shin says he didn't know how to help, but when she was getting messed up by the spirit, the girl called him master, asking if Chun thought Yaner didn't get into others' business. But the girl stays quiet, remembering her past when Yaner had her back and that she can't stress about that, saying that now she was the top demon and everyone called her a killer and fighter. But Shin says that's just nuts because if it was like that, Yantan would have been toast ages ago. And besides that, girl wasn't a bad person. She must have gone through a lot for 100 years, and since Shin was back, the woman was now free. Even if the world went boom, the main dude would help her, all shy. Chun says she gets it, and since her master was there, she shouldn't stress about those things, saying that when he wrapped things up, he should head back to the city ASAP. And if that happened again, he'd personally rip his legs off. Then right then, an aura starts creeping up on his head, saying Yaner had forgiven him. And when they got back to the city, she wouldn't take her eyes off him. Shin, seeing Yantan hadn't woken up yet, says he'd check it out. But for Chun, that wasn't needed because she'd handle it herself. Then she checks his heartbeat by ripping his clothes. Shun's face turns tomato red, seeing Chun on top of Yaner. He's told not to peek when girls are doing their heartbeat check, so he decides to bounce through the forest. With Chun around, he figures the girl's in good hands, and he can finally hit up the Fud cave. Suddenly, the woman chucks a sword his way. She says if he thinks it's rude, he should just shut his eyes. But he better not leave her sight, it's the Empress orders. Shin, eyeing the girl with a serious glare, wonders why she's such a tough cookie. He agrees to her demands, asking how Yantan's doing. Chun explains the spirits inside her, messing up her spiritual fetus, and it's gonna be a tough fix. She's got one way to sort it, but first the girl's gotta wake up. Shin thinks this might mess up her body, wondering if it's some new age technique. Then he notices Chun's ditched her clothes. When she glances back, he sees her reaction. While she's working, Shin's all flustered thinking he shouldn't peek. Time flies and the day's done. Chun's wrapped up the treatment. She says the girl will wake up soon. Shin can finally chill, but when she looks at him, he's wiped out. She tells him he did a solid job seeing him so tired. Chun asks what's up. Shin gives a cheeky grin, wondering if she's still clueless. He says the spirit hurt Yantan, so he's gonna wreck their hideout. But the Empress already sent backup. He mentions she treated him well, offering food. But Chun's been fasting for 3 years. Shin tries all sorts of tricks to get her to let him go, but just ticks her off saying he should just stay put. But he keeps pushing, claiming he needs to do number 2. The woman tosses a stick at him telling him to go for it, but he's like never mind. Chun mentions the girl's vitality took a hit, and her fix was just temporary, saying they'll need elixirs to heal her up. But it's late, so they shouldn't hunt for them now. Plus after all that, she's too beat to think about it, suggesting they crash. But Shin says she can rest, hell keep watch. And then the woman just drops to the ground. Shin apologizes saying he hit her sleep point so she can get some good rest. Then he bounces from the scene, but the two are wide awake. Cut to Yaner brushing her hair, saying Shin's a good dude, always helping the weak and young. But this time something feels off. So she decides not to stick too close, checking if he's really helping. Back to the present, Yantan wakes up thinking the silver hair and animal ears are definitely from the Empress military general. She decides she's gonna follow Shin for sure. She gets up to say something, but notices something. Her clothes are totally shredded. She wonders if they did something while she was out. Seeing the girl awake, Chen explains she was under a spirit spell so she shouldn't move. She's shocked, remembering everything she did. After all her scheming, she didn't expect to be spirit controlled. Thinking if she's safe now, it's thanks to Shin. As she's leaving, Chun tells her to stay put. Yantan asks if she'll find Shin, wanting to tag along to thank him for risking his neck. Chun's fuming, saying she didn't know she valued friendship so much. Yantan's confused, saying only a low-class person wouldn't repay kindness. Chun tells her to repay with her body, since she's the one who saved her. The girl's super bummed because it was all just a fantasy. Then Chun whips out her sword. She casts a spell on Yantan saying she's not in a spot to defy the Empress. She's just one of millions who can't compete with her, so she's gotta stay put. The spell will keep her safe as she leaves. Chun wonders why the Empress is so into the protagonist and no one else. Remembering her times with the Empress, Chun starts getting all emotional. But when she peeks to the side, that girl was still tagging along, asking why she tagged along and if her spell was a dud. However, Yantan says she had her tricks, so no stress. Chun thinks she underestimated her and needs a bigger move. Back to the main dude, he finally made it in front of a massive spot, the Fud Cave. Meanwhile, the boy recalls moments with his disciple. Seeing what the little girl snagged, it was a spiritual centipede which only shows up in places with mad spiritual vibes. Luoyan asks why they needed a spot to brew elixirs, since a cultivator should just chill and meditate. Shin says she's right, asking if she remembers why he started his sect. And the little girl asks if it was to find paradise, giving hope to the broke. The main dude confirms it, saying it was his dream. But just having superpowers wasn't enough, because real power should help the world. And that day, Luoyan found the perfect spot to brew elixirs that could help people. Luoyan says no worries. Shed turned that place into a paradise. Back to now, Shin says it's super nostalgic. Thinking Luoyan had become a boss lady. And also remembers those two girls faked being asleep and were probably tailing his fake body. So he should thank Chun for pointing out his slip-ups. However, the main dude thinks that's not cool. But he should focus on that first and then make peace with them. Later saying they shouldn't catch up to his fake body too soon. Back to the duo, Yantan was in a super sketchy pose. Embarrassed, Chun asks what she was up to. However, the girl shushes her, telling her to keep it down. Chun asks if she ditched Shin, since it was a waste for Yenner to think of him as a gentleman. Yantan says she gets it, for he was thanking a tree. So the woman thinks she couldn't spill the tea to Yenner, as it would mess with her ears. Seeing the girl half-dressed, Chun asks to hold up. But Yantan says she'd go to hell anyway, so she should let her squash that urge. Back to the main dude, he wonders who's gossiping about him. As he glances to the side, Shun asks if that was a wind spirit, saying that wind spirits only pop up in places with mad spiritual vibes. So she did a solid job. However, when he steps into the cave, a creepy creature was eyeing him, leaving the poor main dude puzzled because he thought there'd be a paradise there. At that moment, the monster tries to pounce on the main dude. Immediately, the boy shifts his gaze, slicing that creature. Then he punches the ground, revealing a mystery spot. Then Shin asks if she had enough, checking out that spirit. It was really Luoyan. Spotting Shin, she's stoked, mentioning she hadn't seen him in ages, asking if she spooked him, but the main dude says the cave monsters were just illusions. And she leveled up her skills. The girl confirms that Shin was the one who got her the most. Then the main dude asks why she was hiding from her senior sister, and why she was in that form. However, Luoyan says her soul didn't leave her body on its own, for she had passed away. With a scary look, the main dude gets mad, asking who did this to her. But Luoyan asks him to chill because she set this up for herself, saying he could see with his own eyes, mentioning that while he was away, many people had their eyes on her sect, where they almost got wiped out again. But Yenner and she remembered his lessons. Step by step, leveling up their skills, they beat this crisis completely. And after it was all over, they had to rename the sect. But even so, in Luoyan's memories, Yenner says that all the pests that messed with the sect were checked out. And now they should just wait for Shin to come back, asking why she wanted to bounce. However, Luoyan says she was being too strict, for they couldn't do whatever they wanted. And at that rate, they might end up getting old. Meanwhile, the girl holds Yenner's hand, mentioning that everything was chill. The responsibility of running the sect wasn't hers alone. So she shouldn't stress, because when she gets old, Luoyan would be the master's fave. Asking if she'd like that to happen. As she was leaving, the girl apologizes, mentioning that the seer spilled someone had planned all of that. And if she found out, she'd do everything to stop them. Alright, so she was totally over being looked at like that again. Wondering if her master really got it in those wild times, That was her only fam. And after that epic battle, she bounced with the spiritual fetus, set up a decoy and built Tianshu City, while Jiang Kong just chilled waiting for him to roll back. Then Shinzao, you nailed it, no stress. There's gonna be a new ship sculpture with a solid base for you. Using her brain's core, no biggie. Luoyan's hyping her master, but admits it's gonna be tougher than she thought, cause she was still a life and death realm cultivator. Leaving the main character shook, cause she leveled up past him while her body was getting all holy. It was all about her cultivation, saying she was just in the sculptor deity realm, wondering if there was a rival. Even Luoyan in the life and death realm couldn't beat. The girl says when she checked he was at the 4th tribulations level. And even after bouncing with a spiritual fetus. Tried to buff up but couldn't, asking if the dude just came out of hiding. Then Shin's like, you think the main dude's gonna lose? So Luoyan's like, I knew he'd go all in. Wondering if he'd win with a total smackdown. And right then she drops a bit of her spit, leaving the dude all what's that? The girl's like, that's why I stayed here. Cause it's a fetus made with stuff I gathered. Hearing that, Shin's like, you for real? Cause a dope pill like that should be for her. Saying she did that with her spiritual fetus. Then the girl cracks up, saying her master would totally expect that Shin starts to bounce. Telling her to chill there and not sweat the break cause he'd be back soon. But then bam, a hand goes right into his chest. Luoyan's like, found an opening. Finally gotcha, starting to cast a spell on the main dude. Realizing it was his spiritual fetus, the main dude's like, take it back, but the girl's like, say hi to Yenner for me, cause they were always fam to Luoyan. Turning into spirit bits. Shin's like, Luoyan was holding down the Fud cave solo all that time. He'd borrow her luck but never asked her to go all out. Then Shin starts to leave the cave in front of a magic tree. He's like, sorry, he'll be back. The celestial book can boost souls. So if he kept her soul in the book, it wouldn't scatter. Remembering Luoyan loved to travel. He's like, why didn't we go for a walk? Back with the two girls, they feel the main dude's epic vibe. Wondering what's up, then boom, Shin's clone goes kaboom. Then Chun grabs her sword, spotting a massive energy heading her way. Seeing Yenten down, she's like, what's up? But the girl thinks her core only reacts like that when it senses a sacred core. So this is her shot. Chun's like, you seem off, was your treatment not done? Leaving Yenten stunned cause she was worried. Remembering her master moments, she's like, I can't quit using magic to trap the woman, saying she'd go after Shin. Cause he's a rare sanctified body not seen in a century. And now she could finally boost her master's internal Dan to extend his life. Right? Then Chun drops the magic, like, you didn't think you'd really beat me, did you? And if she played nice and let her handle Yenner stuff, maybe she'd let it slide, but not too much. Wondering if that's how her master taught her throwing shade. Then Yentan's like, take that back. What's my uselessness got to do with my master? Using magic again to trap the woman, checking her chest. Chun sees a seal formation, no clue when Yenten slapped it on the girl's like. The formation can only be undone by rotation. And only life and death realm folks can deactivate it. Chun's like, you planned all this. But the girl's like, I never lied to him. Cause she was the scrappy type using cheap tricks. Cause without a master she had to DIY her skills. Wondering if he thought she wasn't ready to risk it all to secure a way out for her master. She was all in, doing whatever it took. Even if it meant using some sketchy methods just to keep her master safe. Then out of nowhere a statue pops up, claiming to be the spirit. Yentan's like, whoa, what are you doing here? The statue's all. Those cores you offered, total knockoffs from spiritual beasts. But if you pay with your body, your heart's safe. It mentions sensing a ton of ingredients and her planning to take them back. Yentan just stands there speechless. Right then someone shows up telling her to chill. And guess what? It's the protagonist announcing his grand entrance. Protagonist Aswan. Yentan's like, what are you doing? And the MCS like, not talking to you. Dude's running low on ideas. The figure behind her is a memory of someone named Luo Luo. Seriously, who names these characters? Probably behind all this chaos. And then the monster locks eyes with Yeshen. A guy from the life and death realm, sensing his presence. So the ingredients after him. Yes Hen's shocked, then bam punches the giant Buddha ready to end it. The Buddha's back at it and the fight's intense like whoa Yentan's watching. Can't believe this kid's hurting a projection of this dude. Yes Hen's like did you hurt Luo Luo? But the Buddha's silent, just attacking. Hell show his power, launching a special move with both hands. Then the guy's like even if Yes Hen's discovered life and death secrets, he's still mortal. But he respects Yes Hen's strength for messing up his face. And suddenly the MC tears the Buddha's hands apart with just his aura. Dude's got cheat codes, then he demands the real body saying anyone who hurts his disciples is going down. Yes Hen throws another punch and boom explosion everywhere. Out of nowhere a black ball flies out and the MC snags it. The spirit's weaker now, recalling crushing a similar insect. That guy was from the first tribulation class and got wrecked so bad even as a spiritual fetus recovery's impossible. Man, these classes are confusing, but whatever. The monster says the protagonist's future's no different. Yes Hen ticked off crushes the spirit saying those are big words for someone who died so fast. Meanwhile Yentan's just there watching it all. Later Chun's like what's the deal? After all this you're letting her go. Yentan's under enemy control and her path's never been noble. So she should at least be questioned. Yes Hen just stares. Asking about her link to the great diviner since he can't sense the Buddha in her anymore. That's when he finds traces of the diviner and the girl's shocked asking how he knows her master's name. Things just got wild. Chun's surprised asking if that creepy guy's her master because the dude in front of her is Her Majesty and the Empress Master. Yentan's mind's blown realizing this guy's her master's creator and the supreme legendary lord. Seriously, what's happening? She thought it'd be some old grumpy dude, but the MC's actually young. Yes Hen's like if the fortune teller gave her lifespan's mortal now, asking if it's because of the Buddha too. But she says it's because of him opening a chance for that fool. If her master hadn't passed on her energy, she'd have achieved way more than just escaping. The moment her spiritual energy glitched she got snagged and the Buddha somehow snagged her title of Sinister Seer. Told you these classes are whack. So he made her predict all these ways to pop up on the continent, and since her master was like nah, I'm good. The trash used spells to lock her down. After he got all he wanted, he made her gather these super old refinement pills like 1,000 years old so he could get a physical body. This totally messed up her master and now the poor dude's stuck in a can't live, can't die kind of vibe, so she had to follow his orders, but even then he keeps switching things up, hurting her master to make her listen. So far the creature's racked up 500 years, and if she could snag a certain young body she'd be close to her goal. But dude, the Buddha's like a next level being and no one sees him coming. In a blink he cut off her connections and now she can't find her master anymore. Hearing the whole story, the MC finally pipes up telling her not to cry. 'Cause he's got his own tricks. Wow, he's stepping up now. A bit later, Luan Yenner asks if they're taking a detour 'cause she wanted Chun back faster. Curious why they're chilling in the south for 3 more days. The girl says the cultivator really wants to save her master and can prove it, but it's a long road and her master's super tired, just needs a nap. Plus, she spent most of her cultivation on this girl, and if she tries to read her mind now, she's scared of messing up her body. Luan Yenner asks if she hit a snag 'cause she burned out all her cultivation and is going herself. No matter how far the southern margin is, she should be back in half a day with talisman formations asking her to spill the beans. Then June mentions the protagonist said there's a rare flower called Bin-En on the southern margin. Super red and pretty, it grows underground in the Longyuan abyss, and even though it's a pain to get, it's perfect for her. Also, it's great for wedding decor. Hearing this, Luan Yenner wonders if Yes Hen really said that. A bit later, it's night and June's feeling down cause she promised not to lie to her master, but couldn't keep her word. Right then, the elder of the Blood River is checking out the outer city of the Wuji sect so she can't stress her out more. She'll leave the rest to Yes Hen 'cause he said he's got a plan. Right after our hero says he figured out why in the last battle he pumped his chi into his projection, stopping Yentan from hiding. Hearing this, June asks if this thing isn't one of those 5 elements 'cause that name means someone is without mind, ego, or desire. On the Kongyuan continent, even the strongest cultivator would have to ditch their body before hitting that state. He went beyond the 5 elements cause someone bet the Buddha would use something, so he figured chi can be enlightened by those in the death class. Then Yes Hen says not to stress, and suddenly a yellow thread starts coming out of June. Surprised, she wonders if that golden thread is her energy. Yentan's going through the same thing, and dude, this scene's kinda weird, right? With the job done, the protagonist says a cultivator's energy is tied to the 5 elements and changed her energy flow. So they clash. After stopping, the 5 elements can go back to their chill state. I'm lost now. Hearing this, the two are shocked cause the kid can literally change energy direction while someone's still kicking. Yentan though tries to bounce back, thinking there's no time to be stunned, asking to kick things off right away cause the longer they wait, the more her master suffers. After saying she'll lead the way, the protagonist though asks to hold up cause there's something more important. A few minutes later, in this super pretty spot, there was the all-white Buddha. He said Yes Hen was trying to boss him around but shouldn't think he won. To save her master, Yentan's gotta cultivate a bunch with that fool. Even then, all she'll do is delay her master's doom. Suddenly, the Buddha hears a noise, and dude, the protagonist was there. Huh? Now it's getting real. The kid, totally roasting the spirit, says he reeks too much. And meanwhile, the Buddha, all shocked, wonders how he's so speedy since he's just in the first tribulation class. Getting closer, he asks why he doesn't want to chill with him. After all, becoming part of his squad is way better than being just a little cultivator. Hearing this, Yes Hen says he already thought about it. And as the old saying goes, it's better to squash beef than to make new enemies. Plus, he needs another disciple. And if the Buddha bows to him a few times, he might just let him join. At this, the spirit gets all mad and charges at the main dude. But the kid's tough, right? Dodging all the hits. Soon after, the monster says he changed his mind because he's gonna swallow the main dude again. Dude, check out the size of that old creature's mouth. The main dude though was chill, just watching, wondering if those two meanwhile are having any issues. Then the scene rewinds a bit with Yentan asking what's more important than saving her master. Our hero says that the Buddha went there to snag the elixir of longevity, so he hoped she was near him. Because if the girl got her hands on the elixir, the Buddha would also score, taking the time to bounce back and come to life. Hearing this, Shun asks what they should do then. And Yes Hen asks to create a distraction. When they get to the spot, they'll split into 2 squads, and the 2 will rescue Yentan's master while he will personally take on the Buddha. Even so, they'll probably be in more danger than him because he messed with their chi flows, which means they can't use magic. The only thing that will change is the time it'll take to rescue her. And Yentan says that the hope of survival in this situation is also one of those wild cards. Even so, she wants to try and will save her master from life or even death. Shun just stares, and Yes Hen says, everything's set. Handing over the item, he says that when they succeed, they should blow it up because it'll end the battle, and soon after he will join them. A little later, the 2 were trudging through the mud, and Shun is shook because a talisman without extra spells can shine so bright. Asking if she's sure they're not heading to the wrong spot because when she entered the place beyond the 5 elements, she saw that the Buddha was in a white land. However, the girl says she's walked there many times and that pure white land is an illusion created by the beast itself, which is no different from this mud puddle. Suddenly she spots something, and right in front of her, there's literally a giant eye. This thing is called Tong Tian and was placed there by the Buddha. And if someone gets caught within 15 feet, nothing will be left. Dude, the creature is terrifying then, huh? To make things worse, her master is behind that thing. And hearing all this, Shun thinks that judging by its look, it must have a killer field of vision. Even without her magic blessing, it shouldn't be hard to take it down with her speed, but it might end up alerting the Buddha and stopping the supreme demon. Suddenly Yentan counts down and the 2 start sprinting, and the girl mentions that this thing has good vision but also has a fatal flaw because every 30 breaths, it will close its eyes and chill. I wonder how they figured that out. Right? There's a door up ahead and they gotta enter through there, and they have to remember to close their eyes because otherwise they'll end up blind. Shun meanwhile just watches, wondering if the girl has always been like this, dodging traps and memorizing tricks each time just to save her master. Wondering if she could hold up and stay confident like her for so long. Drawing her sword, the girl breaks the seal, and then the girl's master appears. The girl was emotional, thinking that the Buddha is nuts and thinks no one could rescue through the maze. So there's no more defense there. As long as they cut the chain of her master, they could rescue her. But suddenly Shun notices something. The seer has the scent of a thread that breaks the soul, and her IQ is tough to crack. This thing connects with the host, and if the thread is broken, the vessel will also die. Hearing this, Yentan remembers all the moments she had with her master. Poor girl, man. Falling to the ground in despair. She asks if she won't be able to save her. At this, Shun tells her not to be silly because the main dude made the two of them come together. Handing over a stone, he says it's a resurrection talisman and the name says it all right. Yeah. Shun's been onto this for ages, knowing she had this epic item up her sleeve. The soul-breaking thread's got a mind of its own, only vibing with the conjurer. Just wrap your hair around the amulet and boom, you're set. Meanwhile, Buddha's in the thick of it, realizing something's off. Our hero throws a punch asking why Buddha's zoning out. But the spirit's all, you don't get it dude, in here you're nada. Then bam, it morphs into a three-headed beast. Charging at our hero, it suddenly hears a voice asking what it did. Yeshin's like, don't ask what I did, ask what I'm about to do, cause I'm about to wreck you. The spirit gets uglier, claiming it's got loads of yang energy. It's got mad talent, so it needs to figure out how to chow down on it. Taking a bite at our hero, the creature no longer. Buddha says, even if he's top-tier, hell get shredded. But it can't figure out why it can't bite. Yeshin's in the back, grinning, asking if it's a massage. Like, what's up kid, not even trying, saying it's like a bug bite. He decks the monster. All beat up, the creature asks if his Buddha's blessed. And our hero's like jealous much. But chill, there's a surprise coming. Launching another energy-packed attack. Buddha's clueless, and Yeshin's like, it's a physical body, isn't that what you wanted? Suddenly it shatters, asking what kind of power this is, cause Yeshun can literally craft a body with his hands. Terrified, it thinks it needs to bail. But Yeshin's not letting that slide. Unleashing his aura, he warns that destiny's not done yet. With the spirit stuck, he grabs an arm, asking if it's happy with a body now. Still, he wonders why it's looking so desperate, like kids not here for games. Yeshun says no need for more words. He knows the Buddha's ugly, so hell help fix it, cause there's a lot to patch up. Man, our hero's intense, slicing the creature till it's a stump like a Lego piece. After that, the poor thing, which isn't really poor, is just a wreck, and Yeshin's like, much better now. Buddha asks if he really thinks he can kill him like this, cause he's still got a body here. Pulling the thread from his mouth, he tries to summon something, but only a blue jewel pops out. The monster's all confused, and our hero just laughs, asking if that's its body. Then Buddha asks if it was him, and suddenly his body starts healing. Seems Yeshun used some scroll, saying hell fix it till he's satisfied. This kid's wild. A few minutes later, Yentan and Chun roll up. Seeing the chaos man, the spirit looks like a root, now it's nuts. Seeing them, our hero asks how the seer is. Yentan says thanks to Chun. She's safe, just needs to wake up. Switching topics, she wants to know if that thing's alive. But Yentan says, death's too easy, cause that creature messed with her master, so it doesn't deserve a body or soul. Hearing this, our hero chuckles, saying even that's not enough. Long story short, a technique traps it, making it suffer as its body rebuilds forever. Yentan's expression changes as expected from his master. Seeing this, Chun thinks Buddha's got no shot at leaving the world beyond the 5 elements. The funniest part? Since they got there and used the talisman to save Yentan's master, our hero's been planning this all along. That's why they call him the strongest. Chun gives the girl a nod, asking to lower that woman. Yentan's all, is it true? Your master's not doing so hot. And Chun's like, yeah, the only reason his body can chill in a place beyond the 5 elements is cause of the Buddha's chi. But now the chi's running low, so he's gotta reroute his chi flow before it vanishes. Yentan kinda gets it, realizing the reason her master's still snoozing is cause her chi's on empty. Her Buddha's super weak without that energy guarding her heart. And since her energy's the opposite of his, he can't do much except keep her alive. Later, they can head back to their world and brainstorm a fix. Hearing this, Yentan gets all thoughtful and says she's got the same energy type as her master. asking if she can pass her spiritual energies over. Sun's mind is blown. And Yentan's like, have you thought about how your life might end? Luckily, she had so much yin they called her the Supreme Yin Furnace, and she once thought she'd just be a tool for others to level up. Long story short, everyone used her only wanting to get close for their gain, and she never thought she'd get to save someone. That woman means everything to her, and it'd be epic to end her life, fulfilling her wish. Hearing this, the main character's down and suddenly Yentan's glowing like a light bulb. Then she drops a bomb saying when her master wakes up, she should say she went on a continent-wide trip to become a percultivator. That way, she'd feel accomplished and have no regrets. A few minutes later, she shuts her eyes, but something's off. Her spiritual energy transferred, but her body didn't poof away. Soon after, Yisun's like, if anyone else did the spiritual root swap, she'd be toast, but with me in charge, no way she's dying. Even so, her spiritual roots are toast and her inner dawn useless. She won't be cultivating anymore, and suddenly the girl hugs the main character. For her, it doesn't matter, cause her master's safe now, our hero. All jittery says a simple thanks is enough while Sun's thinking. Yisun's a tough guy with a soft heart and his queen picked the right dude. With everything sorted, they should bounce back quick. But Yisun's deep in thought clutching that stone. A few hours later, they're chilling in Luan Yenner's castle, and she wants the deets on what went down. Basically, the kid came back with the first tribulation class of the life and death realm after a quick trip. Plus, there's a new girl in his crew, so he better watch his words now. If he messes up, he's definitely getting punished, dude. Even ID want that punishment, it's wild. Meanwhile, Yentan's master is getting healed and Sun's like, no worries, Her Highness already called in the top docs from the sect. Then the girl admits she caused a lot of trouble asking where Yisun and the Empress went, cause she at least wants to say thanks, and the general's all flustered. Basically, there's no easy way to explain, so she changes the topic, trying to get her to grab a bite, thinking those two are probably super busy if you catch the drift. Meanwhile, our hero's lying on the bed with Lu and Yenner sprawled on him. Plus, she's literally tied him up, and the girl's like, we get why you wanted a spot to interrogate, blindfolding him. Yisun thinks his disciple's super nervous and probably won't let him leave easily. So he's gotta let her do her thing for now, dude. The kid's not into it at all, are you kidding? Suddenly, Yisun senses something and the girl's like, I'm using the silk of truth to make you spill the beans. It's a tool for grilling gangs in the Wuji sect, and when juiced up with spiritual power, it links to the senses. And if someone tells the truth, the other person feels mega pain. Sensing what's coming, Yisun's like, stop. I don't know what'll happen if I get hurt, dude. Nothing good's coming from this. Huh? Then the girl grabs the main character asking if he did anything, when he hit the first tribulation class of the life and death realm with that girl. With no other option, the boy gives a flat out, yes. Then the girl figures out the silk of truth didn't react, so it's probably a fib. Her master is scared of hurting her, so he's totally fibbing on purpose, but a fib's a fib and she'd be down to feel a little pain anyway. This is weird, yeah? Soon feeling something thinks from the silk's reaction. She's probably being real, but as their master, he couldn't let them feel pain. Soon after, Luan Yenner throws herself more onto Yisun, asking why he saved that woman if she's the master of that cultivator. Then he thinks whether it's the little girl or the seer he saved them, cause they're part of his squad and there's no other reason. As their master, he can't mix love for his crew with his duties, meaning none of these answers could be the truth. Our hero about to say something to the girl doesn't feel any pain, assuming his master really cares about this cultivator. Asking if he took her back to the squad with him, he ended up catching some feelings. The desperate boy tries to come up with some excuse, but then Luan Yenner ends up feeling pain. And there he is, seeing what's happening. The girl says she's super happy. Dude, I don't get this story anymore. Yisun, feeling a pain, realizes she was also being real. Now I get it, so every time someone feels pain, that's when they're being real. Now that's wild. Huh? Still, he wants to know why his disciple's happy for not having feelings for that woman. Wow, the boy hasn't caught on yet. Then Luan Yenner says she has her final question, wanting to know if he wants to spend a night with her. Hearing this, the protagonist doesn't get it, and stands there with that clueless look. The girl calls him a dummy and asks him to stop playing dumb, cause it's not that hard to get what's happening. Our boy stays nervous, and the woman questions if she's not pretty enough. Then Yisun says that's obviously not the case, but then the girl feels something out of nowhere, warning that if her master doesn't want her, she'll keep hunting until he spills what's really on his mind. The boy really doesn't want to give in and keeps trying to dodge. The guy never takes a hint. Huh? However, she'll take his silence as a yes. But then out of nowhere, an explosion happens, and I'm lost again. Out of nowhere, a ragdoll pops up, and that creature was in the protagonist's place. On the other side, Yisun had bounced, saying that as a master he couldn't do that, much less have improper thoughts about his crew. On the other side, the girl was still shocked, and then said that's why the boy was running, 'cause with that kind of power it could have ended in a mess. A little later, our boy was at a waterfall catching some air while trying to shake off those thoughts. But then the boy gets hyped, yet he can't let himself be rattled. Even so, no matter how many times he tries to chill, it seems his training is being useless and is getting more and more whack. Moreover, Luan Yener is no longer that young little girl he used to know, where at least her heart was in the right place. She never fought for anything and kept following her older sisters. Many years ago, when his squad was in danger, he took out his enemies on the front lines while she stayed back without complaining to make sure everything was cool at home. All she wanted for her squad was eternal peace, to stay like a family. Even so, being a family, he wanted to know why she wanted to do this. It's impossible to face it that way. And suddenly someone says he's just pretending to be clueless, asking if his master really knows nothing. Luo Luo shows up and says she managed to return thanks to her master, 'cause she was slowly nurturing her soul. Ishin says that while fighting against the Buddha, he sealed part of his cultivation within that jade, but since his current self isn't suitable, he'd transfer it back to her little by little. Then, shortly after, the girl says she still hasn't answered her question, wanting to know if he really isn't aware of how Luan Yener feels, or if he's dodging her 'cause he never felt anything for her. 'Cause if that's the case, he might as well look at Luo Luo instead. Out of nowhere, the girl started speaking in the third person. The dummy asks what she means, and the girl says that since he doesn't want to chill with the older sister, he could do it with her. Even as a spirit, she's got mad skills just like her sis. You feel me? The boy gives her a look, then taps Luo Luo on the head. The girl asks if he's playing dumb again, saying he shouldn't think he's useless just 'cause she's a spirit. She points out it's obvious why the master sees her as a kid, meaning he sees Luan Yener as a grown-up. Ishin gets all flustered, denying it. 'Cause Yener's his big sis and his fave disciple, right? But for Luo Luo it doesn't matter, 'cause love's got nothing to do with labels. If that's not it, maybe his sis isn't his type. So what's Ishin's deal? The protagonist asks to quit the jokes, but then the girl vanishes. Luan Yener asks who he was chatting with, and Ishin, all awkward, tries to make up something. Then the girl laughs, rambling about what he was thinking and other random stuff. According to this theory, guys' spiritual practice can't match up to girls. Ishin keeps staring at the girl who asks what he's thinking, and he says he just remembered she's the only one who laughs at his wild ideas. About what he said earlier, he's got something to add, but Luan Yener says he's been gone a while, so he must be wiped out. A few minutes later, our hero's taking a bath and Luan Yener asks what's up, and if he's not coming, the poor dude's losing it, thinking it makes no sense 'cause she told him to chill and thought he'd nap or grab a snack. Soon after, Luan Yener calls him again, saying the bath's spring water is called Jade Dew, the top sacred juice on the continent. Can zap fatigue, buff muscles and bones, and boost cultivation. Her master was away and leveled up fast, so she figured it's the perfect time to recharge his chi, asking if she's wrong. But the boy says that's exactly what he needs, and if that's the case, just bring him there. About the bath, he can handle it solo, but the girl with a cheeky grin grabs his hand and jumps on him. She asks why age or gender matters, since she's his disciple. Diving into the Jade Dew isn't enough 'cause she wants him to get twice as strong, focusing on internal chi, and recharging in the bath, so he needs to chill and let her help him already. Suddenly at the door, Luo Luo pops up again and shoves the protagonist. Somehow the boy lands perfectly, feeling the texture of the balloons. Meanwhile, the two are watching, and June tries to do something, but Yentan stops her right. Still, the girl's freaking out because they're doing something before marriage, so their rep's on the line. But Yentan says that's their biz, and as she just saw, Yeshen's a nice guy, so no worries. Switching gears, she thanks for the bath invite, cause otherwise she wouldn't have seen this scene. Asking what she thinks Chun's still bummed about something. Yenten figures Luan Yen are super important to her, and must have felt a bit awkward seeing such a private moment. Then she says she's right, cause if it were someone else it'd be cool. But this time it's with Luan Yener. In this case they gotta find the perfect time to butt in. But then the two see what almost went down, and June interrupts saying they can't do anything, asking why it's so noisy now. So Yentan gets all jittery, asking where this pure love is, why they're doing this in a bathroom. Now, basically they could catch some kind of bug, and even if she didn't know that she used to be more than just a guesser and was also a half-doctor. Over the years, some women got sick from this carelessness, ages, ranging from 28 to 30. Plus Luan Yener's got a sacred body known for its mega strength, and if not careful, she could end up hurt. And if they have some quirky habits, who knows what could go down. Switching gears, she mentions that, as gals, they get the struggles and should not only protect the Empress rep, but also her health. Total excuse, dude. Hearing this, the girl totally buys it, and while watching the scene, they face each other and suddenly roll into the hall. But dude, there's no one else there. And meanwhile, Luan Yener is lurking from behind. She says it was tough to bounce out of that, because she didn't think of putting up a barrier while she was chilling in the bath. At least she managed to pop her invisibility spell in time, and now they can keep doing their thing. But meanwhile, the main dude's got that goofy look. The kid had bolted again, and as mentioned, the guy never seizes any chance. A bit later, at a spot called Wuji Sect, there were loads of people. The main dude was there strolling, and Luo asks if Yishin can snag her some crystallized lollipops. Yishin says she's struggling to form a body, so she can't munch on stuff like that. Plus, he hasn't forgotten that time she gave him a shove. However, for the girl, she just gave a little nudge, because who knows, something cooler might happen. In this, our hero warns that kids shouldn't mess with grown-up stuff. Then Luo says he's been isolated for ages, and both she and her sis aren't kids anymore. And since they're both super into each other, there's no issue with others seeing. He really didn't get this chaos until now, and Yishin meanwhile was just tuning it out. Looking ahead, he spots two girls who were pretty banged up. In this right, the girl with pink hair asks to help her big sis. Soon after, the main dude remembers who they are. And dude, they're those girls from the start of the story. A few hours later, Yishin took them to his crib, saying her big sis is like this because of the internal elixir burnout, and then used magic to recharge her. In this, the girl thanks him because without him, her big sis wouldn't have bounced back. And suddenly, she feels something. Yishin says that just now on the street, he sensed a weird vibe from the magical seals coming from them, asking what's really up. Having no other choice, she spills the beans, asking the main dude to take a peek. The kid spots that seal and then thinks it's the sacred seal of the Blood River cult he wiped out 100 years ago, asking if they ended up volunteering to get this mark. The girl says they didn't, because her sis and she are from the Flower Group and swore to their ancestors they'd never betray or ditch the sect. In this, Luo says this story is kind of sus, assuming these two could be spies. However, for Yishin, they wouldn't show their faces to tons of people if they were spies. When Flower Group members travel to another sect, they gotta get the Master's hand order, asking if they got tangled with the Blood River sect in this process. In this, she says, they went there under the Master's orders to find some medicinal herbs in the continent's central part. During their journey, they passed through the Wuji sect and luckily saved him in time. That's how her sis and she stumbled upon this Blood River cult. The group was preaching in a village, more like forcing them to convert, to get these pattern marks. To make things worse, they weren't even sparing kids, and when she and her sis decided to hide to help the villagers, they got nabbed during that crisis. Her sis used all her magic to shield her, and after that fight they managed to shake them off. However, when it was all over, she found out her sis had already been marked by the Blood River cult, and she was so shook she almost passed out. The road back to the sect is super long, and her cultivation level is super low, so she dragged her sis to the Wuji sect, hoping the Empress could stop all these people. Hearing the story, Yeshen says there's no need to feel bad because while traveling, There'll be times when you'll need help, but from what was said, the only person marked was her sis. At this, the girl mentions the seal popped up on her body last night. And hearing this, Yes-hen thinks the situation's getting pretty dicey. The blood river mark is a restriction slapped on by the cult leader on his followers. Anyone marked gets their spiritual powers sucked out and dumped into the leader's body. Basically, the followers are toast unless the caster gets taken out. Yikes, it's just getting crazier, dude. Then the girl mentions that maybe at the next full moon, she and her sis might get hit with these blood river marks. Last time it was just a spiritual energy drain, but next time they might lose their bodies. If that happens, he should take their remains to the flower group so they can go home. She'll definitely thank him in her next life. Wait, there's reincarnation mind blown Luoluo chilling in the corner. Says she's heard this story a zillion times, and suddenly Yes-hen's zooming through the city. The girl asks if he's planning to ditch the city and face the red cloak dude solo. Without a blink, our hero's all in because ages ago the Blood River sect was bad news and he remembers the leader was the Blood River elder. But during the sect war, he was sure he took him down once. And Luoluo's like, doesn't matter, I got killed too. But I'm living in the celestial book. Still she wonders if it's cool for him to go to war like this. And Yes-hen says being a cultivator doesn't mean he can do whatever. She just heard about what the Blood River cult did to that village. So he can't just chill and watch. Luoluo's like, that's not what she's talking about. And Yes-hen's like, what do you mean? She says it's about his older sis. This is Wuji sect's turf, so if that girl's right, Liane definitely knows about it. Seeing the sitch, Yes-hen's like, she's right. Because Liane always hated evil and wouldn't just ignore it. Then Luoluo says, his sis must have her reasons for this. No need to say more about what needs doing, because it's more important to chat with his older sis. She's probably waiting for him now. Hearing this, Yes-hen goes quiet and then says he has to head back. Still he's clueless on how to face Yane now. A few hours later the hero's back at the castle. He knocks and boom, an explosion, and there's Liane realizing he's back. After a bath he's starving, so he thinks of whipping up some grub. Hearing this, Yes-hen thinks he was scared to face Yane, but it was just pointless worry. Plus, when they battled before, Yane swapped spiritual consciousness with June and never left the city to find him. There's definitely something big in the sect. Stopping her, assuming Liane's already found clues about this blood cult. Soon after, the hero tries to ask something, but she just tells him to zip it because she already knows what he's gonna ask. Suddenly a flashback pops up with Liane saying her master said he'd leave, and he did. Now that the bad guys are gone, only good times ahead for sure. Still she wanted to know why she couldn't stick by his side as he just left her hanging, poor kid. When the hero went into isolation, he'd hit the cliff daily to clean up, hoping to reunite with the sect. But it's been over a month. That Blood River ancestor dude he took out showed up again using magic to slap a seal on her too. At that point she was a cultivator but couldn't beat him. So she saw the guy had a skull with the Blood River seal giving off major bad vibes. She didn't think it was normal and waited for a chance to use her magic to break it. But the dude defended himself and vanished. Hearing this, Yes-hen thinks according to Yen are the skulls the secret of how a Blood River ancestor saved his life. Maybe it's some sacred cult thing. Liane says the Blood River ancestor was super hidden and the sect's rebirth was top priority. So he shelved it and sent spies for a secret mission. Then Yes-hen figures some chaos is definitely brewing in the Wuji sect. The girls all, how'd you know that? And Yes-hen's like, well, in that dude's eyes you're his student. He should have offed you, but nah, he slapped a seal on you instead. This seal's his sneaky way to power up, and he probably wanted to pull some shady stuff right then. So since he's secretly mooching off the chaos, the crazier things get the better for him. Knowing his vibe, he's probably letting loose followers in the Wuji sect to recruit peeps and make it a hot mess, but the girl's like, that's not enough, cause in the last decade the sect dude popped up again, spilling the beans that he's recruiting up north. The dude even took out a bunch of his top generals, showing he's leveled up big time, almost hitting the life and death realm. I'm lost here. Among these summons, there's also buzz about an innocent's death in the Wuji sect. He personally checked that the mark matches the red cave pattern, which is this Blood River seal. When he figured out the plan, he thought his power level was low, so he sent folks to hand out spiritual meds to the people, but they started leveling up way faster than expected and caught on to his tricks, then started flexing on the citizens. Seeing all this, our hero grabs the girl's hand saying he gets her pain and the Blood River ancestor's a jerk, but he's never up for a fair fight. If he wants to hide, no one's finding him. So if they strike now and take out the cult believers in the sect it'll freak everyone out, making things even wilder. Once Luan Yener loses her cool, the dude will pounce on everyone. But if she stays focused on the front lines, hell just gather more followers. If they rush it, they'll fall into his trap, so her plan was spot on. And in this case, no need to stress, because hell definitely find a way to beat him. To wrap it up, they gotta nab him and his crew. Then Luan Yener's like, these guys are no big deal, and now that we're on the same page, I'm feeling chill hearing this. Yes, Hen's like, if I hadn't bumped into these flower sisters, who knows how long it'd take to chat about this with them, so if anything goes down later, she's gotta tell him. And suddenly the girl's all annoyed, asking if he found the Blood River seals on those folks. He must be tight with them since he knows their full names. Then Yes, Hen's like, nah, you got it wrong, we only dueled once, and I haven't seen them since I left my solo time. Suddenly the girl chills out, asking if he's for real. The boy with that poker face says, yep. Luan Yener's like, he'll trust you this time, and from now on no secrets between us. In this, Yes, Hen's thinking he was almost getting props for growing up and getting smarter, but didn't expect her to still act all kiddish. Switching gears, he's curious about her next move because he can tell the master now. Then the girl grins, asking if those folks didn't want chaos, and then says she'll give them what they're asking for. Luan Yener whispers the plan to the hero, and a few hours later in some random cave, a hooded dude's saying that a certain great ancestor is basically a god, so that woman from the Wuji sect really won't dare to knock on his door. But then out of nowhere, boom, the guy there just drops the dry guys like, I took him to the Wuji sect, and in return he'd see me as a buddy, asking why he's so into violence when we could be a fam. However, the sword dude's like, it's all just a hassle. 5 years back, the North got taken over by the Blood River ancestors, and forces across the great continent started making moves, but he was scared of the Empress forces. Even with all these wins under his belt, the Blood River cult definitely didn't want to mess with the Empress. Both sides were hanging by a thread until on a rainy day the Blood River cult kicked off an unexpected bloodbath. An unknown assassin, totally mysterious, not only found the hideout of Blood River ancestor but also wiped out the entire elite squad like a ninja on a sugar rush. This kid, while taking everyone down, just casually says he's a vendor, yeah right, selling chaos and mayhem. Then the other hooded dude asks why he went all Hulk smash back then, like, chill bro. Even if he didn't mind tidying up the place, the guy's face looks like he lost a fight with a blender. The sword guy stays silent while the other dude spills the tea that his spy in the ritual tonight. This ritual uses the spirits of epic people to power up, but one tiny oopsie. And it's game over, man. Not only will they fail to level up, but they'll also face the ultimate game over. Luan Yener's planning to wipe everyone out and settle scores. Classic move from one of the fiercest ladies around, but she's rushing things, and since the field's set, she needs backup to roll into the city. Then the guy whips out a scroll and boom, scene change to inside the hooded dude's like, told you, because the Empress has her squad ready at all the key spots leading to her palace. Still, he didn't expect a secret tunnel from 5 years ago that leads right into the palace. Sneaky, so they gotta enjoy the show while it lasts, but something's off with the kid. Dude talks too much. Across the city, Luan Yener's getting ready, and someone's like, you good to go? They should head out, and all the cultivators around the city are gearing up. Finally, the ritual time's here, and man, nothing good's coming from this for sure. In the city, everyone's gathered, and the kid's like, why aren't we hitting the hay? The elder says it's cause the Empress herself called them. She's working so hard, she's basically a zombie, asking if she's her own biggest fan. They should totally pray for her success and happiness, fingers crossed. Suddenly something's on the roof, and the hooded guy says the altar's set with civilians chanting blessings. Luan Yener's all in for this heaven and earth ritual, but no worries about spotting nearby sacred stuff. At first he thought Luan Yener had a plan for this, but nah, he was stressing for nothing. He asks what the kid thinks, but poof, the kid's gone. Doesn't matter to the guy, cause once he's got Luan Yener, he's the boss of this transformation. Suddenly the girl feels something, and whoa, her eyes are redder than a tomato. Everyone's trying to figure out what's up, and marks start popping up on her body. Seizing the moment, the dry-faced dude's like, Luan Yener's mine now. The guards try to step in, but they get marked too. The guy orders Luan Yener to mark everyone with the Blood River seal, but then she just collapses. The hooded man's confused, thinking whatever he sensed in her is fading. Meaning the heaven and earth ritual might have flopped. Still, it's possible, cause he felt life and death realm vibes when he marked her. Then bam, the protagonist shows up and punches him. Looking at the guy's messed up face, he's like, been ages since I saw one of these. As always, he's quite the opportunist, if you catch the drift. The guy gets all jittery, saying he's been searching for him for 100 years, confirming nothing's left of his body and soul, so no way he's here. Suddenly someone's like, is it really that impossible? And Luan Yener shows up. Our hero asks how she's doing and she's like, nothing can go wrong with my master here, but can't say the same for that dude. Hearing this, the blood sect guys like, no way someone from the divine realm of sculpture could make a puppet with life and death realm vibes unless he had some epic breakthrough. Then the protagonists like, told you always the same. Given his vibe, the news about the Blood River troops marching wasn't his doing, and if that's the case, he's got plans cooking somewhere else. It's a bold move, and hitting the Wuji Sect Center is his best bet, and with Luan Yener guarding the borders, he's definitely plotting something sneaky. He always figures Shell have little backup while prepping for the ritual, and now his guesses were spot on. If he'd been a bit more careful, maybe things would have been different, but he planned to knock him out of the game early. What a sneaky girl, but before he could act, he blew his cover with his spells, and for someone like him, showing all his cards means he's super confident about winning. Basically, someone's got his back, and hearing this, the dry-faced dude just cracks up, asking if he still thinks he's the same guy because 100 years ago he blocked his moves and cornered him, but he still managed to escape till now. So he'll reveal who's backing him, and showing the skull, he says if anything happens to him, the deal's off, calling in the King of Assassins for backup. Suddenly someone targets Luan Yener, but the mysterious hero was there ready to save the day. He can't believe his eyes because it's his second disciple, Shulua. Yeshun asks if it's really her and what went down. Then the girl steps back, eyes locked on them, and the hooded guy keeps laughing like a maniac, wondering if he saw this coming when he was making all those threats. More surprises ahead, and boom, an explosion goes off just like that. Wow. The hero's on edge, and right then Shulua charges at him again. Luan Yener tells her to chill, but the girl doesn't care and swings her sword. It kind of hits Luan Yener, but then the girl asks why she's lying to herself. Soon after, the hero pops up behind her and the guy's sweating bullets. Another explosion rocks the place, and Luan's literally fighting the girl with just 2 fingers. He says being from the same school, they're like family, and no matter what, she shouldn't go against her big sis. At that, the girl says they're definitely alike. Backing off, she says she'll find a way to test her blade, launching a flurry of strikes at Yeshun, while Luan Yener just begs them to end this chaos. Actually, she's the one lying to herself, fighting against her master, so she wants to know why she's doubting them. Then Shulua goes after Luan Yener, saying she won't bother her anymore, delivering a blow to the girl. Obviously, the hero's quicker and shields the girl. He mentions that her dodging skills are all thanks to that displacing mirror. He gave her this item back then, so he wants to know if she's turning her sword against her sect. Wow, the dude's really ticked off now. Hearing this, the girl's shocked, but then she says he's not her master. Yeshun says in that case they're back to square one, and the girl's amazed by how fast he moved. Another explosion goes off. Luan Yener's just watching the chaos, and Shulua asks why she's being stopped from leaving. Luan Yener says her master's still alive and just went into hiding, so no need to buy into these rumors, but moving towards her sister, she says it's a lie because she saw his body with her own eyes and won't be fooled. The one behind it was the Honorable Celestial Conqueror. She was definitely rattled after hearing the culprit's name, but it doesn't matter because she's not scared and will avenge her master solo. Then Luan Yener looks at the hero, saying they'll need to find a way to hear her out, but suddenly the mark starts acting up again elsewhere in the city. Xiaoyi tells her sister she's not fully healed, so she should handle the recon. But Qinger says she went easy on her before and forgot the ancestors' teachings, asking if she mentioned her mission to that guy. Xiaoyi's all nah, no way, cause her mission's to find the celestial sex book owner and hand over the goods, or else the 100 Flowers cruise toast. Someone's like, why the Russian? Bam, Xiaoyi's spidey senses tingle and the mark kicks in, and guess what, the whole city's feeling it too, like a bad Wi-Fi day. Back to the action, our heroes soloing 2 baddies right. Then the hooded dude swings at the girl, grumbling about her being late. The Blood River seals juicing up Yener's spirit energy, and now he's leveled up in the life and death realm, so he's basically untouchable as long as the seal's chillin'. Seeing the chaos, she's probably trying to snag the ancient Een of the Sky Seal before he can nab Luan Yener. If that's the deal, she better get real fast cause they're not in the same league. And suddenly our hero boots him. The dude's fuming, saying nothing can take him down, and he flopped a century ago and is ready for a rerun. Even if he's in the life and death realm, he's not on his level, asking what more can be expected. Long story short, he's got nothing left, and the dude's ego is off the charts. Lifting the skull, he claims with this he's finally gonna level up. Then our hero's like, where's all this bravery coming from? So he's probably dealing with spirit gadgets, and the dude shook, not buying that his seal's busted out of nowhere. Isin calls a dragon, and the dude's a celestial gadgets, vibing with him. In a flash, the hero nabs the guy, saying there's something he needs to ask. Obviously something he made would totally recognize its maker, like check out the item he's holding now. Suddenly the skull starts fading and all the city's marks are vanishing bit by bit. Meanwhile our heroes holding Luan Yener and the hooded dude's mind blown that Isin with one word shut down the sacred item's divinity, and all the prayers still he's curious why he's never heard tales of him being the legendary ancestral spirit gadget. Then Isin's like got it all now, mentioning he's got loads of time since there's no issue, he can do whatever with him, so he better decide quick. Suddenly the creature bows down and the heroes like same old same old. Then the boy calls for Su Luo, hearing his sis is in trouble. He steps up to face the baddie, and just for that, hell let it slide, she's got 3 days to get back to the sect and a chance to explain. The girl listens quietly and then vanishes. Later there she is lying on the ground, poor thing. Suddenly someone says it was no walk in the park. After facing 2 mega bosses she still got the juice to trek this far, it was the desperate assassin king barely keeping up with her, as funny as it sounds. Then Su Luo's like, got the skull back, can we chat now? The girl goes, you know, if it's she's skull, the Wuji sect must have taken ages to snag it, asking if she forgot her master's last words. She can't take losing to that guy, so she's got to get her own payback. Su Luo's Yishin's fave, so he left this mission to her, asking if she's trusting that lookalike who chased her. Obviously that's Luan Yener's fib and the assassin king's as fake as the kind empress. But man, the girl defends her bro, saying she'd never do that. Suddenly the bandaged girl calls down some wild lightning, saying she's always a handful, but this power only kicks in when she's drained. That fight must have wiped her out, but no worries, because now she won't feel a thing. That seal's gonna wipe her memory, and even though that Blood River ancestor's a flop, he still pulled off something. Too bad there's no time to check it out herself, saying her majesty's still out cold. So she better hustle and get the docs. Next scene over at the Wuji sect, it's total chaos because Luan Yener's still down for the Count Chingers all. This is way worse than I thought. The Great Celestial gave her the mission to deliver something to the Celestial Book's owner. But with her sis still snoozing, that's not happening anytime soon. Suddenly the main dude shows up and he's super ticked off. The girls start freaking out, and then Yeshen strolls in. Luoyuo's like, I get it now, it's probably poison. Yeshen's all even with the cursed seals gone. Yener's still out cold. I figured this might happen when I brought her back, but it's been ages and he has no clue when they cooked up this poison. Luoyuo's like, it's some ancient stuff lost in the books. The kid's got a hunch, asking if it's the infamous death seal poison. A seal slapped on a cultivator that drops a curse acting like a limiter, and if it keeps weakening the target can't handle their own power. The Blood River seal was just a cover to sneak in the death seal, and the Blood River sect was just a pawn in this whole mess. Zulo's clueless and Luoyuo's annoyed, saying she can't believe her big sis would betray the sect. But everything's gonna come out in 3 days, and the main thing now is to get that poison out of Luan Yener. Luoyuo's like, this poison's messing with her blood vessels, asking Yeshen if he's got a plan, and he says he can't mess this up. He could use the 5 paths reversal to yank it out, but with the Blood River seal sucking up spiritual energy it might accidentally hurt her. Out of nowhere, the main dude rips off his shirt and it's like, what is even happening? Luoyuo's all flustered, asking what he's up to, thinking it's some dual cultivation thing. The main dude gives Luan Yener a look and then opens his mouth like, whoa dude, you're going all in now. He says he can force the seal to mutate inside her, moving it to his own body. Suddenly Chinger pops back in and Yeshen's all nervous, asking why they're not resting. She says if Yeshen uses cultivation to clear the Empress poison there might be some fallout. The 100 Flowers crew is all about cursed seals, and when they saved a cultivator from the death seal over the great ancestor, there was a side effect. When the seal hit its victim, part of it turned into the cultivator's energy stash. Long story short, it could totally wipe her out if they drain the little energy left. So repping the 100 Flower sect, she offers herself, gotta repay the time they saved her, right? Later Luoluo says she checked it out and the girl's right, but she's not sure about her motives. Time flies. Luyener's getting worse and Chinger steps up to help, realizing something's off. Luyener's literally sucking up her energy now. She has no clue why, because the death seal's supposed to drain the victim's cultivation, but now she's the one getting drained. Right then Luyener opens her eyes, whispering to the girl that she wants her. Oh man. This story's getting wild. At this point our hero steps in, saying he gets her intention, but Luyener's got a special constitution and if anything goes wrong she might get hurt. The girl's got fire affinity roots while the death seals would, and if they clash it'll suck up her energy. He really digs her, wanting to help her disciple, but she didn't realize the danger and planned to use her body to yank the seal with the spiritual tool. Hearing this she thinks the kid's talking about that celestial book, and if so she was a fool, because she offered help to seem more natural when returning the celestial book, but in her rush she forgot the celestial book's protection was for him, so he doesn't even need her. Wow, these Chinese classes are getting tricky. She says Yes Hen can totally see through her, so if she keeps going he might start suspecting. Soon after, Yes Hen's like, even with the spiritual tool the effects are just surface level, and from what he sees her recovery skills are solid. Yo, so the MCS finally stumped, asking if he can get in on the action too. The kid's got those wild powers, but this is new territory. He's all with his powers keeping the seal in check. It should be like a shield against the mark of doom. Then the girl jumps in saying this power's a secret move from the cult of the 100 flowers, takes 10 days to nail it, but Yes Hen's like, nah, I got this. She just needs to spill the deets and hell roll with it. Chinger's all jittery and the kid's like, what's up? She's trying to chill, but this is the toughest of the 5 paths, no room for slip-ups, and bam, the MC whips up some wild purple smoke. Chinger's mind blown, thinking there are 8 anchor points in a person's core, but he just summoned them all in one go. The more points you hit the tougher it gets, but even her ancestor only snagged 9 anchors in 3 days. The dude's a total beast. And then Yes Hen's like, hey girl, your turn, and wait, is the kid gonna go shirtless? Chinger's like, I got this, but she's low-key curious about what's next. She peeks over, sees the MC super focused, eager to see what this means for her too. Later, Yes Hen bounces out and Chinger checks if she's cool. The kid's holding the mark, saying thanks to her Yenner's out of the woods. The girl's like, chill, it would have been fine, and he probably noticed she was just keeping up the act. Yes Hen's all, a win for you is a win for me, so he's calling it even and will back her up when needed. Then she asks for a sec until her sis wakes up, so they can spill the tea on everything. Switching gears, the MCS curious about how many peeps have this seal. She says the mark of doom's been around forever. Now it's a banned move, so she's clueless on the numbers. Yes Hen's wondering how they snagged such a move. Chinger's like, the great celestial said this seal 100 years ago wasn't meant to harm someone, tweaked and spread it. The MCS all, any idea who it could be? Maybe someone close. Suddenly they hear a noise and Luan Yenner's up. She's asking about her crew and the boys like, all good, just chill now. About Shu Luo there are plans, and Yenner's sorry for lying all this time. She swore she wouldn't again, but oops, the boy wipes her tears, asking if it's about Luo Luo. She says she might know why her sis is doing this, and after going off grid they hit up their sex old spot, specifically the MCS fave chill zone, where they found a letter. It said Yes Hen was toast, tried to explain to others but couldn't shake their doubts. Shu Luo thought he was dead, wanted payback, even tried to stop her, but no dice. Yes Hen's thinking a celestial conqueror from a century ago was a life and death realm pro, and Zhu Luo's playing with fire. Yenner keeps going, saying after the split she rallied the believers and started the Wuji sect as an empress. After leaving she didn't go for revenge right away, but found some assassins wandering the land, while Luo Luo went south to dig into the sect attacks, but Shu Luo 15 years back said she found a way to off the guy who beat the MC. She needed a certain seal to the heavens, tried to talk her out of it, but it was a never-ending battle every time she tried to swipe this seal, but with each loss she vanished and laid low. Still, she didn't see her joining that beast and coming back as the king of assassins. Seeing all this, Yes Hen's like, the celestial conqueror's strong, but it takes more than one trick to take him down. If Yenner said her sis wasn't plotting revenge right away, her moves over the past decade are totally sus boom flashback time. The main characters all, why are you chilling on this mountain? Your big sis is on the hunt for you. The girl's like, if I don't ace this courage test no one's gonna hang with me anymore. Yes Hen's like, alright, I'll hook you up with one of my secret treasures. He hands over the horizon mirror, saying rub it when things get sketchy and poof, you're safe. She's all, Yes Hen, you scared? He's like, duh, but you never believe me because I always charge in first and never lose, but our heroes like, I do it because I'm scared too. He's worried if things go south he'll lose and won't be there to protect them. When fear's conquered it turns into courage, and if she accepts it no shady cultivator will scare her again. Yes Hen's deep in memory lane while Yes Hen and Yenner are facing the main character, asking if something's up. The boy's like, nah, it's cool, and mentions he told Shulu to come back in 3 days to spill the tea. Luan Yenner tries to stand but is super weak. Yes Hen's like, girl, you can't even stand, gotta take care of yourself. He used dual cultivation to nix her death seal, but her core is still busted, so she needs to chill and heal. She's shocked, asking why he did it while she was out cold. He should have waited till she woke up. Sounds like a couple spat. Switching gears, she asks how she got hit with the death seal, cause that dude doesn't roll like that and her sis isn't into curses. Suddenly Luan Yenner calls the general, who says she was on secret passage duty as ordered. As expected, there was a sneaky attempt, and after a scuffle she bounced the intruder's accursed seal pro, and Luan Yenner tells her to hold her ground. She'll send backup, telling Yes Hen someone's teaming up with her sis and that killer seal's probably their handiwork, so they shouldn't wait 3 days. Yes Hen's like, she'll be here tomorrow, and I just fought her goals to snag the seal of the heavens, and she bailed not cause of him but because she was pretty banged up. Luan Yenner's Like if her sis wants back in the sect, the puppet masters won't let it slide. The kids all fired up saying tomorrow's the day. Meanwhile, across the castle, Yentan's stoked cause her masters awake. She stands scanning the room asking if she found the Grandmaster, and where he's at Yeshen pops up saying long time no see, how's your day going? The girl tears up asking if he saw this reunion coming ages ago. Yeshen's like new wed meet today but didn't see the battles coming, thanks for everything. Later Luan Yener checks in asking if she needs anything. She's free to ask, she's got a wish, but first wants to know if the master still needs her help. The main character grins, thinking nothing slips past her. Meanwhile Zuluo's eavesdropping from the rooftop. As she climbs down, Luan Yener asks if she's ditched those thoughts since they're from the same sect. Why the beef? Asking if the master wouldn't be bummed seeing them at each other's throats. The girl's ticked, launching an attack at Luan Yener, telling her to quit hiding her aura. Plus she wants to know why she keeps acting all weak and clueless. Her sis says enough, restraining Shulua, saying the master's treasure won't be taken, she'll have to go through her. But in a flash the girl's beside Luan Yener saying it's all pointless. Alright, buckle up, because this story's about to get wild. So this girl, she doesn't even need to grab the item herself because she totally knows where it's at. She goes all Hulk on a box, finds a bag, and Luan Yener's like, chill, you're getting played by those other dudes. Turns out her master isn't even dead, and all she wants is for her sis to trust her. She wonders if maybe this is actually better. Out of nowhere Shulua gets this vibe, realizing her aura's gone all next level. Luan Yener jokes about her sis being a rooftop ninja, and the girl gets all fired up and charges at her, but then she's like, this is pointless dude, the MCS been transformed, do whatever, it won't matter. Zuluo's mind is blown that a puppet can copy her sis and even her power level. The main dude raises his hand, boom, explosion, and he's like, why so scared? Didn't I teach you to see 1 and imagine 10 on the battlefield? In the land of Aswan every path's covered, and once she touches the treasure mirror she's stuck, just one way to stop her. Basically she trusts change and reflection too much because she's weak and always thinking of bailing. But she still got the rep of the most feared assassin. The angry girl calls him a fake, not worthy of her master's words. Right then the MC with a sly grin says she finally showed up using her summoning seal. The kid's vibe shifts and Zuluo's like, what's going on? Sure, the person in front of her is a fake, but she's feeling something new. The MCS, glaring at her with pure rage, grabs her head and tells her to chill. He pulls a wild move and suddenly the scene flips to another place, and a girl's like, this compass is a real brain buster, everyone's all over the place, and the girl says to find the Empress Divine Mirror she had to sacrifice 10 lives. Even though Yeshen's super strong, it takes a whole day to break that curse, and meanwhile Zuluo's got to snag the item. Suddenly she senses her mark's aura, thinking she activated it. Her fan glows, her clothes rip, and she's like, what the heck? She can't believe Yeshen's sending spiritual energy back through her seal, but there's got to be more to it. The kid's intense because while he's fighting he's tracking her exact spot. But the girl bites his finger, makes a seal, and says she's not easy to handle. Boom, explosion, and Yener's just watching from the castle. The other master shows up asking how she is since Yeshen's been fighting for ages. The girl switches topic, saying she's just a bit worried. She wonders if it's cause of Shulua, as it might tick off the MC, causing chaos. She asks why the master didn't let her tag along, and Yener says he was scared she'd end up begging for her, but her sis says she's wrong. Yeshen just didn't want her to carry more weight. They say everyone's got their destiny, and back then Shulua made a choice for her own reasons. She knows she wants to help the master, but maybe he doesn't need it. Yener listens quietly, and then in the background our boy shows up carrying Shulua. Yener shocked. She's unharmed and surprised the master went easy on her. Yeshen says when he talked to her 3 days ago he had everything set for Aswan to trap her. Even though it was early it worked out, and after finding a curse in Yener he thought Shulua might have one too, so he used reverse energy to track the mark's user, but the person cut the connection with Shulua, and Yener says spiritual energy doesn't just vanish, so they can find a way to track her. Yeshen says no need because she probably has backup, and if he were her head make a scene to draw enemies into his turf. The Empress is all, are we just letting them bounce? And the MCS like, nah fam, I left a sneaky mark when I flipped the spiritual energy, so well catch her off guard when she's chilling. The kid's all ice cold and strategic, saying he's got to lock down his spot, so she needs some chill time to recharge, and when Shulua wakes up he'll have a chat with her. Meanwhile Yener's still bummed about her sis, and poor Yeshen's thinking after all this time our reunion's a total train wreck. Out of nowhere the other master pops up saying, hey, the sister's back, let's party a bit. What a lame excuse to get lit, but the duo's like, nah, she's too weak for that. They share a look, and the other girl goes all righty, then asking if Yener didn't promise to grant any wish cause she really wants something. Oh boy, this is gonna be wild. The protagonist's got that huff face, wondering what it could be besides partying. She says that's all ancient history and she's not about that life anymore. The kid's shocked she quit partying, asking what she wants then. Meanwhile, Luan Yenner's cracking up in the back, calling her master a goof, asking if her sis still doesn't get it after all these years. The girl agrees, saying with the master you gotta be direct, so she's like, I wanna play hide and seek with you too. Everyone's like, what? And Luan's surprised it's something so goofy. But she says it's his fault, cause as a kid he kept saying he couldn't find her spots and that's her biggest childhood regret. Shall give them time to hide, and if she catches them, well, you know. Suddenly the girl vanishes. Luan Yenner's worried, can't believe she's pulling off a spell like that in her condition, but Yeshen's like, let her be, Yenner, focus on your health, saying hell, take her to her room. The girl steps back, saying since it's her lil sis wish she can't ruin the fun. So he has to hide fast, and a few minutes later the protagonist's chilling on the roof scoping the city. The kid thinks Luan Yenner was just happy, but now she's all moody, wondering if she's mad at him. Then Luoluo shows up saying he's there half the time and won't hide well, and she heard Aswan say if she catches him there's a punishment. But for Yeshen, winning or losing doesn't matter. It's all about making Aswan happy, and Luoluo's like, then why the long face? Suddenly she jokes the older sister's coming, but it's just a prank. Annoyed, the protagonist traps her in a scroll, and the girl asks why he doesn't just talk to her older sis. She digs him and will spill everything that happened, but Yeshen's like, nah. She probably hates me since she's dodging me. Then Luan Yenner actually shows up and Luoluo tries to explain, but the protagonist's still down. Soon after, the poor girl can't take it, slaps the protagonist, saying he needs to talk to the girl directly if he wants to do something. With the boy hitting the ground, he worries he hurt his disciple even after healing. Then out of nowhere he asks if the girl doesn't like him by any chance. At that moment it hits him because he said it totally out of the blue. Then Luan Yenner calls the protagonist, whispering in his ear to just stay quiet. Right after Aswan appears, starting to look for the two of them. Little did they know, right, they were there in the corner cuddling. As the girl leaves, the protagonist tries to get up, but Luan Yenner holds him. She says it's not that she doesn't like him, but she was scared he wouldn't want her, so she kept her distance. She doesn't just like him as a master disciple, but wants something more. This is going from 0 to 100 real quick. Hearing this, Yeshen remembers all their moments and suddenly kisses her. Whoa, even I didn't see that coming. And the boy says now they're more than just master disciple. At this, the girl jumps at Yeshen, all playful, saying she'll do whatever he says. Yeshen gets all shy, just staring at the person in front of him. Right after Luan Yenner saw him feeling something weird, and our heroes blushing like a tomato, saying they got a head inside. He's still not back to full power, needs some chill time, and Chinger's just there watching everything. Talk about bad timing, right? Poor girl just freezes, and then her sis shows up saying it's easier to search together. Out of nowhere, Chinger shuts her eye, and the girl's like, is something bad happening? And since Yeshen's there, maybe he can help. The MC gives a confident nod, saying as long as he's around, no need to freak out. Elsewhere in the castle, the sisters are chatting, and the green-haired one says she's there to meet the celestial bookmaster. She hands over a pendant, explaining her sis was under a spell, so helping her was priority over delivering it. Switching gears, she asks if Yeshen's really okay, and the boy, all tied up, says Yenner's just messing around. Suddenly the girl kneels, apologizing for everything, saying she didn't mean to invade his space, they were just in a rush, but don't worry, they won't spill any tea about seeing him with Yenner. No one's gonna imagine him doing all sorts of poses, that's just too much. The MCS like, let's cut to the chase, and the sisters start casting a spell. Green smoke swirls around, and bam, a girl with white hair pops up. Yeshen calls her Ruashi, and she's like, long time no see. The boy, tough as a cockroach, stays strong. Ouch, that was a bit harsh. Yeshen agrees, and the girl says he's the only one brave enough to talk to her like that, but the boy's unfazed, asking why she sent people to wait for the celestial book. The girl chuckles, and the MCS curious if it's about the person who sealed his disciple. Ruashi says he's still sharp, mentioning this person has history with her, but wait, there's more. The destruction of his sect is tied to this too. Now the boy's intrigued, asking how much she knows, and she says she'll be waiting in Baihua's forbidden land. He better hustle, and poof, she's gone. Yeshen's deep in thought while the sisters keep up their spell. The magic fades, and the hero says he sent the message, thanks for the help, but there's more he wants to know. Since the 100 Flowers sect started, Ruaxis been all about sealing spells, so no hardcore training needed. But he heard she went to some forbidden place, and Chinger's like, I got no clue, we joined 10 years ago. Yeshen's thinking Ruaxis' message method is super complex. She doesn't usually mess with lives, but if it's come to this, it means the sect changed 10 years ago or earlier. Then Chinger asks if the ancestor was trying to take him to the forbidden land. The problem isn't there, because 3 years ago she and her sis left the mountain, and their ancestor warned in a dream not to enter the sect through spells. Anyone wanting back has to cross the mountain range, and Xiaohei asks if she knows anything about this so-called poisonous mountain. Yeshen wonders if this mountain isn't 100 miles from their sect because the way she's talking makes it sound way harder to find. Chinger says the place's location keeps changing, making it super tricky to find. With some struggle they found it, but the mountain's full of miasma and beasts, easy to get lost. And Xiaohei says they have a home but can't return, and the Blood River sect's been a pain, so they can only run to their sect for help. If not for the mission, they'd have gone back ages ago because the ancestor's like a mom to them, and she's super worried about what might have happened to her seeing the sitch. Yeshen's brain is buzzing, thinking all these setups scream disaster containment. Guessing Ruashi locked herself in the forbidden zone. If that's true, their master's banking on him, so busting this curse and hitting up the forbidden land isn't a no-go, but if he's right, doing that might unleash chaos too, and the safest bet is to sneak into the sect through the mountains. Even if the spot's a bit sus, it's not rocket science to find. The real snag is how long it'll take, and out of nowhere someone pipes up with a shortcut. Yenner spills that when her Zhuangzi sect was born, some masterbin asked her to whip up a Zhuangzi gate linked to the world's 5 elements. Long story short, say where you want to go and boom, the gate opens a path there, but when her master vanished she had a ton on her plate and totally spaced on this gadget. Yeshen clocks that the girl's still stressed, and Zaohius all, "Duh, what do you expect from an Empress Maid sect?" So now they can bounce back, but Luoyen Yenner's like, hold up, have you even thought? Why the 100 Flowers ancestor shut the mountain and sent us here? One SEC, they're homesick. Next they're all, let's bounce, but they're missing the big picture. The two are shaking in their boots, and Chinger's like, I was just worried. Okay, Yenner's all with this plan. The ancestor probs doesn't want them mixed up in this, and she trusted Yeshen to watch over them. If she's really stressing, she should just steer clear of this mess. The MCS thinking Yenner's a total boss, keeping the sisters in check, and she's been a big help, but he's still getting on her nerves, which is not the vibe he was going for heading down the stairs. Yeshen's got something to spill. Grabbing the girl's hand, she's like, ouch, and the MCS all, listen up. When the 100 Flowers crew showed up, I changed the topic, but it wasn't on purpose. Out of nowhere, Luan Yenner slaps him, saying it's to save face to him. She's just a girl throwing a fit over this stuff, but hey, no hard feelings, not gonna lose it over that. Yeshen's like, why was I ghosted earlier? What did I do? Yenner's gonna lay it out, asking if he even thought to ask her for help when the 100 Flower sisters needed a hand. He probs wanted to solo it again, and she's always the last to know, being the most sheltered disciple. But they agreed they wouldn't just be master and disciple anymore. Oh snap. Now it's a foolin' couple spat, wondering when hell see her as a legit partner. The MCS just watching, not saying a peep, and the girl's like, I heard the whole convo earlier, so Eve got a plan, and the 100 Flowers ancestors def in trouble. This Xuanji gate was her creation to find him, and only a few are in the know, and she's already schooled him on how to use it so he can go ahead. She'll be waiting for him to come back. The MC though grabs her hand, making the seal to head to the poisonous spirit mountain, saying if he went solo he might rage out and blow the place sky high, so she's got to keep him in check if it comes to that, and check out that romantic moment. Meanwhile, Ajuin's staring down a giant ice block, saying the master and sis are Mia and left her in charge. Whoa, that white-haired girl's still kicking, and Ajuin's like, time to wake up, sleepyhead. Our video ends here. If you liked it, leave your like. See you next time. Bye bye.